What if I told you that one decision can literally give you a second life? Not metaphorically, a real second life. Because 29 years ago, at the age of 23, I made a decision that created a completely different version of my future. And today, at 52, I can finally see both timelines. My name is David, and for the last 29 years, I haven't had a single drink of alcohol. Not one beer, not one glass of wine, not one celebration toast. Nothing. Now, this is not a video about addiction, and it's not a lecture about alcohol. It's about something much bigger.
It's about how a single decision, repeated for decades, can completely change who you become. And by the end of this video, I want to show you why I genuinely believe I am living a different life than the one I was heading toward at 23. But the part nobody tells you is this. At first, the decision looked almost meaningless. For a long time, I thought the decision itself was the important part. It wasn't. Looking back, deciding was actually the easiest part. The difficult part was waking up the next day and making the same decision again, and then making it again a week later, and then again at a wedding, again when everyone around you was drinking and nobody could understand why you weren't. Because here's something I didn't understand at 23.
Most people think their lives change through dramatic moments. A promotion, a divorce, a business success, a health scare. But many of the biggest changes happen so slowly that you don't notice them while they're happening. You don't wake up one morning as a different person. You become a different person, one decision at a time. And for years, that's exactly what this felt like. Just one small decision, repeated over and over again. Nothing more. At least, that's what I thought.
Let's start with the obvious question. What was so special about quitting alcohol? The answer is nothing, at least at first. At 23, alcohol seemed to belong everywhere. After a good night out, during a bad day, at a family lunch, on a birthday, with a burger after work, because everyone else was having one. It did not feel dangerous. It felt normal. It was simply part of life. And that is exactly why it still feels so strange when I think about it right now. Because most life-changing decisions don't look important when you make them. Nobody wakes up at 23 and says, "This decision will completely reshape my future." You simply decide. Then you repeat the decision. And then you repeat it again. But here's the strange part. The biggest benefit wasn't what I expected, and it wasn't health.
I thought I had only removed alcohol. Years later, I realized I had trained something much deeper. People assume that quitting alcohol changes your weekends. That's true, but that's not the biggest change. The biggest change is that it slowly changes your identity. You stop being the person who automatically says yes. You become the person who can tolerate discomfort, the person who can sit with an urge without obeying it. That sounds small. It isn't, because that skill starts leaking into everything else. A few years later, it helps you stop smoking. A few years after that, it helps you cut sugar. Then it helps you train when you don't feel like training. Then it helps you do difficult things, even when nobody is watching. One decision becomes two. Two become 10. 10 become a completely different person. And this is where the two timelines begin to separate.
This is the part I still think about. The other version of me did not disappear. He just never got to exist. I sometimes think about the version of me who never stopped drinking. Maybe he would be fine. Maybe not.
The truth is, I don't know. Nobody does. But I do know this. At 52 years old, I can run continuously for over an hour. I train CrossFit. I can do more than 10 pull-ups. I feel stronger than I did in my 20s. And that wasn't supposed to happen. Most people expect the opposite story. You are young, then you slowly decline. But what if that isn't inevitable? What if the person you become at 52 is being built by decisions you're making right now? Not next year, not in 10 years, today. Because the truth is that alcohol isn't just a drink, it's a brick. Every decision is a brick for the person you are becoming.
And this is where discipline stops feeling like punishment. But the most surprising part took me decades to understand. Most people think discipline is suffering. I don't, not anymore. Because after enough years, something changes. The reward is no longer what you avoided. The reward is who you became. I don't wake up every morning thinking, I'm glad I didn't drink yesterday. That battle ended decades ago. Instead, I look at my life and realize that one decision gave me something I never expected. Self-respect. The quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. And once you experience that feeling, it becomes more valuable than any drink ever was.
So what does 29 years without alcohol really mean? It means I didn't just remove something from my life. I built a different life. A life that probably wouldn't exist otherwise. That's why I say it created a second life. Not because alcohol magically destroys everyone. Not because quitting magically fixes everything. But because every year, the gap between the two versions of you gets a little wider. Until one day, you look back and realize they are no longer the same person. If this video made you think about a decision you've been postponing, let me know in the comments. What is one decision you know would change your life if you repeated it for 10 years? And if you're interested in the psychology of self-control, habits, and the strange decisions that quietly shape our lives, subscribe. Because the most important changes are rarely dramatic. They are repeated, day after day, year after year, until they become a different future.